Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, the United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
They want NWA? Let's give them NWA.
Who are those guys?
And then there's the other guys.
We're the other guys. We're the guys nobody ever bets on.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's time for the Other Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts, Tim, Dave, and Jeremy.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And what can we tell you? We are the Other Alliance Guys, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance, the United Wrestling Network, and various independents around the world. My name's Tim. We are fresh out of NWA 75 with my man Scooby. How are you?
Doing well.
It was a good show, and our man Jeremy with the best seat in the house, really. Wait, I got to ask you, Jer, what is going on with the roof of your car right now?
Oh, that's my pimp rug. You don't understand. I got a pimp rug.
What did you think of the show, man? What did you think of?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was a
phenomenal show.
It was a pretty great show overall. I know you're I know you're not driving, in case anybody's wondering, but
no, I'm not driving. I don't drive, guys.
I know that you're on your way home to get in front of the laptop, and that's all good. But Scooby and I were at the show. I think Scoob and I both share your opinion. What do you think, Scoob? Did you love the show?
I did like the show. There were little hiccups here and there, but I mean, overall, I give it an 8 out of 10. It was very good in the storytelling, and with all the title changes, it's moving everything forward. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing what this next season of Power has in store.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna go to the chat quick, straight to Lou, because Lou, we met this weekend. Lou is one of the most charming motherfuckers you're ever going to meet in your life. A great dude. Brought me a bottle of whiskey, and I mean like a bottle of whiskey. Like he wasn't fooling around.
Wow.
But thanks, Lou. Great to meet you, my friend. And we had a great lunch together. Great time at the show. And Jay's home. Jay made it home from the tapings where he went afterwards. Now he's going to bed.
I don't blame him.
If you're still there, Jay, I was watching the pre-party yesterday, and you were in your hotel room, and you looked like someone had just run you over with a car. You were so tired. It was like, welcome to the pre-party. You look really, really tired, but I'm glad you made it home okay, my friend. Yep. The Reluchador. What an amazing weekend. I was so impressed. Her first wrestling show, guys. I enjoyed it so much. Worth the 24 hours on the road. It was 12 hours with the border and stops for us each way. So
that's not bad. I apologize for the 8 hours you had to deal with our shitty drivers here.
Well, I have notes. I have notes for American, and 5 shows for 5 days for Jay. Michigan, please do something about your highways. You need to do something about your highways. It's insane. Indiana, please build some structures or roadside attractions of some sort. There's nothing there. It's just nothing. But St. Louis, great town. We really enjoyed ourselves. Roseville is here as well. Where are you, Roseville?
As a former, as a Hoosier by birth.
Yeah. You take offense at that remark? Oh, I think he froze up.
You freeze?
I think he did. He's kind of back. We if you're looking at the treasure, as demonetized Mike points out, who I believe I saw Jeremy in the green room, so to speak. He's gone now. Was doing something with online. From what I understand, there was a treasure that should have been buried. That was at a Hooters. We went to a Hooters. There was nothing else open. As Jay said yesterday, it was midnight and we were hungry. So we had a great time down there. And Willie Bowen is here. Willie didn't entirely lay off the Tyrus jokes this time around, although he does mention right off the bat that Markova will get the title soon off of Kenzie. But earlier on, Willie had said, "Hey, Tyrus, since he isn't NWA World's Heavyweight Champion anymore, can be refereed at picnic pie and hot dog eating contests." That's what's possibly in his future. I wonder what tact he will take, Willie, with EC3, with our new World's Heavyweight Champion. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But shout out, Dave. It was amazing to see you again, and
good seeing you guys.
Yeah, and Jay, of course. Jay really made this happen. I was telling him before we left, Jay is the core of the alliance. We come because of Jay, and Jay gave me all kinds of swag too. He had at our lunch at Salt and Smoke, Smalt and Soap. What was it? Smoke and Salt.
Smoke, yeah,
it was good. St. Louis barbecue. I won a Barry Horowitz mini. That's very. Give myself a pat on the back for that one. Scooby brought me. You drive Shiki's grandmother to airport. That's awesome. Scoob also got me a signed photo from an earlier show of Ricky and Robert from the Rock and Roll Express. Thank you, Scoob. But Jay got us all kinds of swag, like the 75 stuff here. I got pretty lucky there. I got one of Cole Laxamana's lays, if you will. But maybe the prized possession, other than this really cool kind of Alliance statue that I got from Jay. Look what I got, guys. Look at this. I don't know if you can see that or not. You know what that is? These are keyboard keys from the Markova Camille match when she went Control-Alt-Delete on Markova's head at her last successful title defense. So I know, Dave, you got some stuff as well, including like part of the actual board.
I got part of the keyboard. I'm like, yep, here's a picture, took a picture and posted it. And it's like, here's part of the keyboard that Camille used to do dictation on Markova. Hit her upside the face, the chest, just beat the hell out of her. And I'm like, man,
with a crazy
keyboard, really hardcore, but that's a keyboard warrior right there.
Yeah, for sure. Doty's here. Will Willie's love story with Tyrus end since he's retired? We'll see. We're gonna see. We're gonna leave that one with Willie and see who we'll target next, perhaps. Yeah, thanks, Mandy. Thanks for being here. It is an awesome souvenir. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but there you go. Where Lucas says, watching Tyrus fall off the stage like a slice of wet meat being pulled from the counter by a dog was so satisfactory. I was ready for him to be done. I think that was the overall feeling, whether or not you agree or disagree with Tyrus's position on social items or his politics or whatever it might be. I think the general feeling from a wrestling point of view, Scoob, was it was time for a new world's champion.
Yeah.
And we did get one on night 2. But we're doing night 1 tonight. Like I said, cool swag, great pay-per-view, great friends. But I guess before we get into night 1, let's talk about the EC3 era. How do you think, in the wake of Tyrus's departure from wrestling, and as we know, EC3 made Tyrus tap out to his cross-face variation there. How do you feel EC3 is going to do as NWA World's Champion?
I feel he's going to hopefully bring some new eyes to the product. If you followed NXT or Impact back in the day, he had a decent run, but he never fully clicked when he was put on WWE. But he has enough experience and knows enough of the different wrestling styles that he can basically wrestle with anybody. And just recently he had wrestled for OVW, and some of their talent had basically given him the thumbs up. So who knows where we'll see him with the title, but I'm sure we'll see him outside of the NWA as well as in the NWA defending that title.
Yeah. I mean, he's got Exodus Pro starting up in, I want to say Cleveland.
Yes.
So maybe with that affiliation with the NWA looming, he can be doing some title defenses up there. Mike says, EC3 will do fine as long as politics doesn't get in the way. And put EC3 in their promotions as a traveling champion, incorporate a CYN promotion into it. Yeah, he was an obvious choice, I guess, in terms of how well other members of the roster are known on kind of a global wrestling scale by the internet wrestling community. But I wonder if it isn't going to be a matter of, to use a political term, not being an American, but it felt like us up here in the North as an observer is that, like people voted for Biden because they didn't want Trump. They were voting against something. And maybe it was a matter of like, are we just happy that it's not Tyrus anymore? It's somebody else, anybody else. And I do want his reign to be successful.
Yeah. I mean, I agree 1,000% on that. It's not one of these things of, I don't hate Tyrus. I just hated that he wasn't defending the belt. That wrestling was on a line of things of him doing stuff. It was his TV show. It was his tours. Then it was the wrestling.
Right.
And I mean, Billy did his experiment. Bravo. Now let's get back to having a wrestling champion that wrestles. That EC3, I'm hoping, is one of these guys. He may not be an Aldous, but he will actually put the wrestling back in the National Wrestling Alliance. That he will defend the belt, and it's not a toy for him. It's not something for him to show off. He definitely will show it off, but it's something that is part of him.
Right. Let's go back to the chat here. Scott B, welcome. My only real complaint about NWA 75 was the NWA failing to do almost anything to promote the main event on Power. Arguably doing almost anything, Scott, to promote the pay-per-view, beyond, I guess, local television. But there wasn't a lot of build. There wasn't a lot of anything on Power. We've been talking about that the last few weeks. But like we've, hoped, the NWA has made another pretty good pay-per-view. I would agree with Scooby. 8 out of 10 for night one. A little less for night two, but no complaints there really. Dodie says CYN's done for. Now EC3's promotion is Exodus Pro. Hopefully will be better. Mandy chimes in. Things feel hopeful again under EC3. Looking forward to see what happens next. I'm just pre-reading you, Mike. I knew he was going to get it last week before the pay-per-view, regardless of what I said. He let it slip out on a podcast my friend produced. Okay. Well, that's too bad. DK is in the house. It's his house to be in. I think EC3 will do what some people were hoping Cardona would do, which is take the title different places and be the NWA World Champion. I agree. It's how we in fans of the NWA define the world in our world's championship. We don't just slap it on like an independent was, and then sit in a single city somewhere. This is the belt that all belts spring from, and traveling is the way that I think we hold the world's and world's championship. Jammin' Music Man is here. What's up, my friend? Jay says they filmed 2 months worth of Power. Oof. It's a lot of wrestling in a couple of days. Jammin says we've entered a new era for the NWA. Scott adds, I don't hate Tyrus, but I hate having him as the head of the National Wrestling Alliance. Yep. Willie's chimed in. It's a happy day for NWA Pro Wrestling. The blimp lost the 10 pounds of gold. Oh, Mike, I love you, brother. I do. Demonetize Mike, buddy. You've hilariously burned me too many times. Let's see here. The champ was buying shots last night. I look forward to that story tomorrow when Jay and DK and Jaden will look at night 2 of this pay-per-view, including that main event. Hey, Vincent Verbex Patterson, what is up with you? Thank you for being here. Mike says, myself, I wasn't glad of Camille losing and how it was done, but look forward to see where it goes with her. Yeah, Scoob and I were talking about the show, and maybe there's some ideas that he'll work into the fantasy book for next week around what might be next for Camille. We'll have to wait and see. Doty, at least if EC3 lacks the lack of outside title defenses when NWA doing tour like the Vampire Tour or another Boca Raton style show, hopefully EC3 will be there defending the title.
Yeah,
I think that's a great point. The Reluchador says, media, I wasn't thrilled that Camille lost either, but Kenzie really shined all weekend. She put on an incredible performance. She did 3 matches for Kenzie, the most of anybody on the card, I believe. And it was pretty funny. There was one of the matches, I do not remember which. I think when she was in the Fighting Max, she came out on the floor in front of us, and Raluca leans down through the barricade. She goes, "You're doing great." And Kenzie's holding the bar. She goes, "Help me. You need to help me." We had a good laugh. Did they ever announce, Jamin says, what the October pay-per-view is going to be? Not officially. Jay may have heard something he can share. I don't know. Have you heard anything, Dave?
Yes, I have. It's going to be in Cleveland, Exodus Pro.
Yeah.
So he's going to have his first, I believe, his first defense, or at least, who knows? Maybe it'll be the over pay-per-view. I don't know. It's over, man.
It's over, man. Get over. Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be in Cleveland, like the weekend before Halloween. So there's roughly a good 2 months that they did the tapings up to, and I believe this may be. I don't know if they're really saying what it's going to be, but I've heard since it's around the Halloween, it's going to be spiritually based. It's supposed to be a spooky Halloweeny type thing. So we'll see where they go from there. But
I hope it's not his first title defense.
Available. And I'm like, it's only a 6-hour drive, so I'm like, cool, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I hope that if it's late October, that it's not his first title defense 2 months from now. But
oh no, but I mean within the NWA, I know he does have some other outside wrestling that he's doing. He was wrestling at OVW. I'm not sure if he's still there, but that'd be a shine on the 10 pounds of gold if he brings that back to OVW and does a couple defenses there. That'd be good.
Vincent asks, I love EC3 being our champ now. It's a way better look. Any way we can get the buy rate for the pay-per-view? I'll check. I don't think so. I don't think it's set up that way for the NWA. WrestleNomics might have it, but I doubt it. Jammin' Man likes the idea of wrestling and Halloween-themed shows. Halloween Havoc. Some of the worst pay-per-views were Halloween Havoc, but they were incredibly memorable. And DK says, I thought Kenzie Camille title change was the best book story over the 2 nights. I agree. Let's talk about that for a second before we go into the actual show. How's it feel for everybody, and for you, Dave, to answer first? How's it feel to have a new women's world champion after 813 days? You know, does it feel weird? And do you think Kenzie's going to be successful in the long shadow of Camille?
Yes, it is it's a start of a new storyline. But if you really think about it, there was really no one else for Camille to battle. That she's held the belt. It's been a historic title reign for her. She's no longer the one time, so maybe it is time for her to not so much move on from the NWA, but move out of the battle for the Burke. That we had talked possibly maybe find a tag partner and go after Pretty Empowered for the tag belts. And indirectly, you're messing with Kenzie since it is part of her group. And I mean, Pretty Empowered, I didn't see Roxy at all this weekend. So I'm not sure what was up with that. But all I'm looking at them now, they hold the belts. They hold the women's title and the tag belts. They're a female version of the 4 Horsemen for the NWA now. They hold the gold.
Yeah.
So if you're going to build stories around them, all 3 of those women know how to wrestle. And I think the storyline will be them proving why they should keep those belts.
Right.
And Camille, she's had close to her reign of 800 plus days. There was really nowhere else for her to go besides step to the side. So we'll see where she goes. I don't think she's going elsewhere outside of the NWA, but you never know. But there's only so much that they could do because there were no other people for her to basically wrestle against.
It may be a matter of she needs to take a season of Power off, and just relax and not be around, so that she can come back with a vengeance, maybe in October. Dodie pointed out that EC3 has been working Ohio Valley, so it'll be interesting how he's done there. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like Danny Limelight, obviously friend of the Alliance, UWN World Champion, not booked that way in MLW.
No.
So it'll be interesting. Yeah, Halloween Havoc 89. That is a pretty good show, actually. That was that was Flair and Sting, right? Am I thinking of the right one? They fought Terry Funk and I want to say Muda. That's not the one with the Yeti. No, that's later. Yeah. Anyway, let's. What do we want to talk about here? I feel like Cody. What do you want to talk about? I would. I'll say this: if you can do us a favor, if you're in the chat right now or you're watching on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps Jay build the alliance, and always very helpful. Thank you so much. How would we rank NWA 75 compared to the other shows, the other pay-per-views this year? What do you think, Dave? Where do you think it falls?
plus being 2 days. I think it and Crockett Cup were both on a high level. This being a little more higher up, maybe a 4.5 out of 5, I would say, with all the title changes. It's basically, I'm going to go back and say they took an Etch-a-Sketch and what they had planned, they just shook it. And it's a fresh start. Tom Latimer was the only champion to retain, and his storyline going forward is he's going after the 10 pounds of gold, but we'll see if he gets to it. But there's all new stories plus a couple rematches that could happen, and I'm looking forward to it over the next couple months until the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think thinking back, we had, other than 75, obviously, we had Crockett Cup, we had Nuff Said, and we had 312, and I don't remember any others this year. I think that was it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we had like way back in January, we had like the Superpower and the Christmas show.
The live Superpower, yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I love tag team wrestling more than singles wrestling. I guess I'm a bit weird that way. So I loved Crockett Cup best, but I saw this in person and it adds at least half a star in person. If you're looking at the show, by the way, Coruscant Ballroom kind of looks smaller on the show, the way it's filmed, than it actually is. I think Dave and I figured there was probably 500 people there.
Yeah.
And it's like the camera's actually way back. It doesn't look that way. And it looks like the stage is pretty close to the ring, and it isn't. It's actually way further out. There's lots of people in the dark around the ring as well. The pre-show looked pretty bleak, but for attendance. But there you go. Mike says, "Don't see Al putting over EC3 as the NWA champ on his own program. The character, yes, but not the title. He's done that many times with people who have different titles, especially not with the Netflix show." Oh! I didn't know where we were there. Sorry, talking about Al Snow. Got it.
Yeah.
And EC3 there. Best NWA pay-per-view in my year, jamming. Yes, it was Flair and Sting versus Funk and Muda in the Thunderdome. That's right, the Thunderdome. Good pay-per-view. NWA 75, Willie says, was all the way live. I'm glad everyone seems to have enjoyed it overall. Yeah, the pay-per-views this year have been the ones that we noticed. First time I didn't regret buying the pay-per-view. Oof. Did you not buy Crockett Cup? Did you not like Crockett Cup, Mandy? I thought it was great. It ended the way it should have. And anyway, to each their own. I certainly agree on 312, and I didn't really love Nuff Said either. But for me, the only ones that ever really were not good overall, like, are go way back to like Back with the Attack and oh my gosh, I can't remember the other one's name now. Anyway, I'll move on. I wonder how successful Camille Kenzie will be trying to get out of Camille's shadow. She's got her work cut out for her. I think she's going to bring a very Cardona-esque, well, I mean, Kenzie-esque energy to the ring that, you know, she's a tremendous talent. Camille's persona is that she's an athlete. She's the greatest athlete the NWA has, and obviously, you know, Kenzie used some underhanded tactics to get the job done with the turnbuckle pad removal. But I if anyone can get herself to that next level, like Camille, Kenzie Page can, I think, Dave. I think she's got the talent and the chops to get it done.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, her still being with Pretty Empowered, I think it raises all ships. But she is the Ric Flair of Pretty Empowered. That she is the champion. And you always have to have a good team, but you also have to have a good leader of that team. And I'm glad that she broke out of the tag team, being that they could insert her little sister in there and still keep Pretty Empowered as a team. The sky's the limit. She can be with the NWA as long as she wants to, but I could see her moving up to one or two of the possible majors, being WWE or AEW. But the only thing is, she's a big fish in a small pond in the NWA.
Yeah.
And she could do well in those other organizations, but it's how they decide. It's not always about ability. A lot of it is look. It's one of those things of myself, if I were Kenzie, unless she wants the money, NWA. I don't know what her contract status is, but being a big fish in a small pond, she basically has her way.
Right. Yeah, that's well said. Dodie had said, if you said NWA 75 filled around 500 crowd members, then I hope so, because it means it's still a respectable, decent number for the Coruscant who can fill up to 800. It's more than half filled. It was more than half filled. I didn't count. I mean, we took a kind of a, what do you think kind of look around, and there were definitely more people for night 2, which makes sense. There were actually, where we were sitting, you could see, I couldn't see the other side of the ring, but there was a row seemingly around the whole ring for some kind of special Tyrus seats. They had little Tyrus mini action figures from Matt Cardona's company, or the gold chains that he would wear. There were a good number of Tyrus supporters in that crowd, not surprisingly, and people asking him not to go at the end of night 2. But yeah, it was a good sized crowd. I was happy with it. I would like to see them at the Chase 2 for a while, Dodie. I know you've been saying that for a while yourself. Willie says Kenzie versus Natalya will be great, and congrats to Colby Carino from Jammin' on winning the junior heavyweight title. Yeah, there was a moment in that match that really, really made me laugh. But we'll talk about that. Let's get into that now. Let's go into night 1 of the pay-per-view. We got Velvet's back. We were on the opposite side of the ring of her, but Velvet is back with Joe. Tim Storm was not there because he'll be wrestling later in the evening. And I don't know if on the pre-show, did anyone pick up that Tyrus merch? They did. There wasn't any left at the end of the night. I don't know if it came or was a dark match or not, but on the pre-show, but it had Robert Ego Anthony versus Magic Jake Dumas. By the way, because I'm only home Monday night, I have to give credit to Tommy Milagro Martinez, who was at the show from Slam Wrestling. I didn't get to meet Tommy, but he prepared the notes that I normally would. I'm using his. He didn't prepare them for me, but he put them up on slamwrestling.net, which is a great site, Greg Oliver's site. But Robert Anthony, boy, the thing I remember most about this match was when Anthony disrobes. He's wearing tights, like Rick Rude-esque tights with Magic Jake's face all over his tights. It was very funny. I'll put some photos up on Twitter as we go along this week, and some of the belt shots up on the Instagram page as well. Yeah, very Rick Rude. The contest is in Anthony's favor. Magic Jake tried a magic trick, but it didn't end up working. So Anthony delivered his rolling Death Valley driver and took out Magic Jake. Did you catch this one, Dave? I heard the wrestling from the merch room and went, "What? We're starting?" Did you catch it?
I caught part of it. I was like, I'm watching it, and I'm like, I was trying to figure out what was actually happening, especially with the Magic Jake tights. I'm like, why is Robert Anthony? It's either a psychological game or who knows. But I'm like, okay, it was a good start to the pre-show. They weren't able to see all of it, but it was a good match to get the crowd warmed up.
It was. Did you see it watching from on FITE TV, Jeremy? Did you see Robert Anthony versus Magic Jake?
I heard it. I watched it while I was at work.
Okay.
It was a good match. I like Magic Jake. That guy has something. I'm sure he could probably get rid of it with penicillin, but he's got to.
Yeah.
But no, it was a good match. I enjoyed it.
Mike says the best part of it is when it was over, but he was happy to see Ego being a douche again in the ring. After this is over, this review, maybe Dave can tell us about the WrestleMax show you and Jay went to on Friday night, because that had some interesting NWA crossovers too. That's Dave. What happened next? We had M95 cutting a promo, which you could see in the Coruscant Ballroom. It was backstage. Sam Laterna is the interviewer from MLW. I only know her because these guys introduced me to MLW, and she's great. Yeah. I always enjoy Mae Valentine, who I did hear today or yesterday. I don't remember which. That she's not done with the NWA. She's just done for this season. She couldn't arrange her schedule to be there, and she had other things that she needed to do. But Mae has a tendency, she's grown a lot, and I think she's great. She has a tendency being very vibrant and being a lot of personality to kind of eat up some of that screen. And like referees, I like my backstage announcers to somehow kind of be a little bit more demure, for lack of a better word. I like them to fade into the background. If you watch United Wrestling Network, LaQuasto doesn't eat up the screen. He's just there, and he's for them to play off of. Sam Laterna is like that. So she's very, very much in the in the background and kind of just, okay, here's my question. Thanks a lot. Right. And that was good. Let's go back to the comments. Mike said, I like Jake too, but this Jake is a different Jake than what was in CWFH with Bateman. Yeah, he is. Magic will challenge James Bell. Welcome. Magic will challenge for a belt in 2024. The Reluchador, I think. Yeah, I think Jack Cartwheel is an incredible standout. He brought the crowd to life and engaged so well. He wrestled so beautifully, and everything he did seemed to get sound out of the crowd. It was definitely the spot fest of the night, probably the most just pure entertainment I think of the evening, and we'll get to it. I couldn't disagree with that. Jay says Jack Hartwell's welcome back. Absolutely.
Yes, 100 times.
Yeah, I saw this backstage. I haven't seen it yet, but there was a certain someone who was interviewed by Jeremy. He's just he's not a good guy apparently.
He wasn't an asshole to me, but I'll keep it kayfabe. He was a fucking prick. Good God, I couldn't wait to get off of there.
But the NWA needs to get back to having more promos before the audience. Backstage interviews are fine, but that's practically all we get. It's a good point, man. You can just bring him out on the stage, right? You get a pop that way from your crowd too, so why not? Refs should never be heard, only seen when it matters, and also never be buried. Like always happens to the pay-per-view. Jody I'm not super impressed by Sam Laterna. I wish we could get Ben Simon at the Chase, especially since we're in St. Louis. I hear good things. But I guess we still need a woman interviewer. I don't know. She's probably available, and there you go. I like her. Every year, Billy has to bring in a AAA guy to do flips, and he has one on his roster. That's talking about Jack Cartwheel. You're so crazy. I think he's good, but we'll get into it. So M95 was with Sam Laterna. Basically, they said they're ready, and then she talked to Camille about Markova, who kind of just said, she respects Markova, even though there's stripper poles in her life, and but she's a champ for a reason. She's going to remain one-time champ. But we do go next to the U.S. Tag Team Title Contendership match, where we have Daisy Kill and Talos. Where are my overlays? Daisy Kill and Talos taking on the Fixers for a. Can we do this? Does that work? Nope. A shot at the U.S. Tag Team. Ooh, the U.S. Tag Team titles. Hey. So, I mean, seems to be a classic match in terms for Daisy Kill and what happens in his matches. Talos is going to prove to be the tough part for them here for the Fixers, but Daisy Kill is the one that they just beat the snot out of. But Bradley and Legursky cannot put Kill away. It's kind of the story that we saw. He gets that hot tag, and the Fixers manage to chop Talos down after a time, but before they can finish him, interference by Daisy on Bradley allows for Talos to deliver a choke slam on Legursky that I can tell you shook the ring pretty hard. And it was over. The Country Gentleman came out at the end, Jeremy, and they just kind of popped their faces in to hold up the belts and say, we're the champs. What'd you think of the match?
It was an interesting match. We've seen that Daisy Kill can take some punishment. Yeah. And that intrigues me. I like the character that he has. And Talos, I mean, that dude's an Empire State Building.
Yeah.
He's as tall as the ring post. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's a big dude, and it really shows in person. Like I say, the camera is, gives you that impression, but it's like any sport. You go in person, you're like, ooh,
yeah,
that's some height on this man. The Country Gentleman came out with the belts. Hey, if by chance he's watching, Anthony Andrews, Love the ally
Yeah.
paint on the chaps, buddy. Good for you.
Very cool.
In the wake of some comments that were made, you know, it's not the first time we'll see maybe a quiet response to them tonight, but or it is the first time, but it won't be the last. So that was cool to see. So Laterna's, are you there, Dave, or are you? Did you freeze up, or I don't know if you can hear me. There he is.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you were just killing the video because of the reception or what. Any thoughts from you on Fixers, Country Gentlemen?
They've had their run. For Talos and Daisy Kill, it almost reminds me. I'm not where they're good as a team, but down the line they'll have their split, and hopefully both of them will be able to go on a singles run. But I think it was a good change for a newer team to actually have some momentum. The Fixers are there until they're not there. That they've done their part, they've played their part, they've won the titles. Now they're helping another team up the ladder. So it's basically, I think it was the right move.
Yeah, I would agree. We do get Pollo Del Mar, friend of the show, friend of the Alliance, who I met at the show. Got a hug from Pollo and then lost him in the crowd, so couldn't get a picture. But basically, she tells Sam, you know, that Sam asks Pollo, "Why do you stick with him? You know, everything he's done." And Pollo says, "I stick by my man, you know, no matter what." And Throbilly's going to take this title. And so we go back to the ring, and we end up getting Jordan Clearwater versus Zion with Austin Idol in a match. Let's just say in a match. You know, this match kind of serves as Jordan Clearwater breaking ties with Idol fully. Zion starts this one very, very strong on the Golden Boy. He turns the tables. Clearwater has some momentum. The crowd was really on Jordan's side in the ballroom. They really embraced him. And then, but Zion sends him to the outside, and Idol smoked him with the walking cane that he's got. He tossed him back in the ring, and then Zion just slapped on his Koji clutch variation, and Jordan passed out. I hope for more from, and I still hope that there will be a better future in the NWA for Jordan Clearwater, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I really like UWN Jordan Clearwater and the trajectory that he has versus NWA's Jordan Clearwater. At the end of the day, he's got a role to play in the company. And with any luck, we'll see that role expand and him get used more properly.
Yeah. Did you like the match?
The match was okay. I'm not a fan of the Zion character. It's
pointless.
Yeah.
There's no Zion. There's no need for Zion. Just take the mask off and, you know, I know Scooby actually figured out on his own who it was, and I went, "Oh yeah." Now that I looked at, we keep kayfabe here, but you don't need I'd rather have that name than this guy in the mask right now.
100 times.
Yeah. Dave, what did you think of Clearwater versus Zion? You're on mute.
Okay, sorry about that. I thought it was a good way to wrap up the story of Clearwater no longer being affiliated with Austin Idol. I did that. Really, the only thing I dug about Zion was one strap where he looked like almost like the machines from the old WWF. So I guess he was Super Zion Machine or whatever, but the Great Machine. But it was a quick enough match, but with the interference from Idol, it finished up that storyline and just the match was what it needed to be.
To Doty's cheeky point, as we might say, hey, listen, Robert Ego Anthony has said, he's come out and said, I'm not going to be that guy anymore. So we don't keep it a secret any longer in the alliance. Not that it was ever a secret, but you know what I mean. We break kayfabe on that one. He hated it, and now he's glad to be done with it and just doing his own thing. Laterna talks to La Rebellion and Vampiro about their upcoming title match. I think what Vampiro is trying to say is that there's a reason that they've been dominant and they're still going to be champs after they deal with BFT. And basically tells Violent J to keep his distance if he knows what's good for him. But the final match of the pre-show is Alex Taylor representing the Southern Six versus Eric Jackson versus Jack Cartwheel versus Koa Laksamana. I'll put that on right there. Here you go. And versus Matty Ice, Matt Vine. This was the match that the lovely Reluchador, my wife, I think, and probably and me too, honestly, just outright enjoyed. It was crazy, guys. It was just a spot fest, and Jack Cartwheel was the center of that spot fest. He got the majority of the cheers as this thing went along. He Milagro writes that he at one point he lands an impressive tope onto all four men to the outside. It's been a while since I've seen a space flying tiger drop, guys, but I'm pretty sure that's what that was. Like, it's not something you see too often. It was like flip, twist, dive. Like, okay, that's not your regular outside tope suicida.
Yeah.
It was impressive. He did this thing where he was, that thing where he goes that vertically or horizontally between the ropes, rather, for that kick to the head. That's pretty neat. He did a whole bunch of AAA style spots. The end of this had Laksamana nail Alex Taylor with a superplex, but Cartwheel ended up hitting a shooting star press on top to gain the win. It was fun afterwards where, he's heard, like, he's been through a lot of crowds cheering and, like, everyone's going, one more cartwheel. And, like, just doing, like, a weak cartwheel in the ring. So he's going to go on and face Kerry Morton for the junior championship, or the winner of Morton and Colby Carino. Let's see what we got here in the chat, but I'll throw them up as you guys talk. What did you think of the Jubilee Jamboree match, Dave? Did you get it? Did you get that, Dave?
Okay, what'd you say? I missed it. I'm sorry.
No worries. Just what did? Oh, sorry. What did you think of the match? The Jubilee.
Overall, I mean, it highlighted several of the wrestlers. I was glad to see Cartwheel in person. I had seen him on TV. While he may not be with the NWA, he is affiliated with AAA, so there's still a tie-in down the road. I'd love to see him come back, but I think it was good for all the wrestlers involved as it got them some wrestling time, and hopefully as we move on, they'll just keep building the junior division.
Yeah. Jeremy, your thoughts?
It was a good match. I enjoyed it. There was a lot of action going on to keep track of. The Cartwheel guy, I had to pull my youngest in, my youngest son in, and be like, dude, you got to watch this little guy.
Yeah.
This dude's nuts, and he can work a crowd really good. A little too much on the flippy side for me, but that's just a personal thing. It was still enjoyable. It didn't take me out of it or anything. That's just it's in his name, Jack Cartwheel. So, I can't hate on him too much for it. But I enjoyed it. It was A+.
Yeah, I like I said, I really liked it as a spot fest too, and we had a ton of fun just sitting there watching Cartwheel work, and everybody else too. Eric Jackson was good. He's getting better all the time.
Isn't he though?
Yeah.
I was happy to see him come out.
Doty has said that Koa deserves better. He wants to see more of him. He's just kind of a punching bag right now. I agree, but I mean, some of these guys take hits for a while, and that's what happens in the NWA.
Kinsey's a prime example of someone that was enhancement punching bag.
Yeah. Matt Vine, I'd like to see, a break away from the fixers. He's just sort of there. There's not much purpose in that right now.
He's like, they treat him like their little brother.
It's
like
true.
Their tag-along little brother that they're forced to come out with.
Mike says, I'd rather see Koa and his lovely rear-ended girlfriend any day of the week over Cartwheel. Only so many flips I can see in one match. Nice kid, yes, but I don't want to see that at NWA ring, taking away from the others who can wrestle the same.
They're taking their jabs.
He's I asked Jay, he's not a Mexican guy, he's from SoCal. So he's an American. Jeremy. The spot Cartwheel needed to do is a spot where before the match he starts to get back on a plane to AAA.
Sometimes that little filter just doesn't catch things, and they just come right out.
Oh man, one of the funny things too from this match is, I think his girlfriend is, I think her name's Khaleesi, like Game of Thrones or something. And listening to her at ringside, she has a very deep voice. And and have you guys ever seen Venture Brothers with Dr. Girlfriend?
Oh my God!
It was like, come on, girl.
Bring me the head of Brock Simpson.
Oh, funny. Let me see. No, you're good, Mike. Don't worry. Lucas says the lingerie cheapens her. CJ should be in the wrestling ring. Well, we'll get to her. Let me see here. Did you know that Billy got an idea, Kodoti says, for the Jubilee Jamboree name at 2 a.m.? I would not be surprised.
I'm glad he didn't share where he was when he got that idea.
Interesting. Maybe out eating a 12-ounce blade chuck steak. Well done. Jackson had the same hairdo as MJ Jenkins. It's true. He had a gray hairdo. He just let it grow out and spiked it up. It was an interesting new look. But let's move on. After that win by Jack Cartwheel, we got Danny Deals filling in for Tim Storm, and they call they're going to call the matches tonight. So this is the you know what? Just before that, there was that closed the pre-show, and then they did a 10-bell salute for Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt, and also all of the wrestlers who had passed away in the year between 74 and 75. It's funny.
Glad I could help.
Yeah, you gotta hear that. Well, Lou heard her voice, I'm sure. So Danny Deals is here, and the match that we get first, guys, coming into the pay-per-view for night one of NWA, is Kenzie Page defending the I did find a graphic for it after the match. Will this work? Look at that. Oh no, not really. Do any of these ever work? Not really. Anyway, Kenzie Page versus Max the Impaler for the NWA World Women's Championship match. This was, I think Dave mentioned to me, maybe his second favorite match of the night, but after the main event. But Max essentially just ragdolls Kenzie through much of this thing. She's dropping those Vader-style bombs in the corner with her forearms. Paige, for a heel, kind of fights valiantly. Like I was saying earlier, she pops out onto the floor at one point. She's saying to us, "Help me, please help me." We were laughing pretty hard. Before she got dropped right back hard onto the apron edge. She does stage a couple of comebacks. She does go to the top rope to land a flying facebuster, X Factor, whatever you want to call it, off the top, and gets a 2 count. Max is just kind of, that's about what the offense does to Max. Max blocked a Kenzie cutter when it looked like Kenzie might pull this off. Pops the trunk to use a Jack Stain turn on Kenzie Page, and Max, they get the very decisive 3 count, Dave Scooby, on Kenzie Page. It's in the books. We have a new NWA Women's Television Champion that I know you're going to talk about in the fantasy book later. What did you think?
It was a good, I'd say a good back and forth in that Kenzie worked well with someone not of her size. That there were a lot of moves, and it's telling a story for what will happen later on at 75. But Max was just all powerful, that taking any and all moves from Kenzie, Max would just shake it off and get back to ground and pound. I'm glad to see what happens in the future in the next couple months and where they go with this storyline of Max as the World TV Champion.
Yeah, me too. Mike says it was a brilliant big versus little wrestling match. Max did fantastic, making it look like Kenzie was dead. This was a good old-fashioned no BS kicking someone's ass match, and Max leveled Kenzie most of the match. Kenzie was the underdog. I enjoyed this one. Jeremy, what about you?
Like I told you guys backstage, this was my favorite match of night one. It like Mike said, and I told you guys, it was a very well done David versus Goliath match where Goliath came out on top. And Kenzie is so damn good at her in-ring facials. The help me. To quote the real one, you can't teach that.
Right.
She ticks all the boxes. And then on the opposite side of that, you got Max, who was just probably the closest thing that we have to the Mastodon Vader in the ring. And I like that you threw out the Vader in there, because that's what Max reminds me of a lot. There's a lot of Vader there. And I was a Vader guy. From the moment I saw him, I was just hooked on him. So Max is ticking all those boxes for me. And the way that she does in the ring as well, like you said, her taking all her offense, taking offense from somebody is just kind of like and then back to it we go. Perfect.
Yeah. I think it was Jay who said to me, "Yeah, it's like Vader is whatever." Like, oh, you're absolutely right. Just dropping those forearms in the corner. Like, there's a bit of Bam Bam in there too, but like that ferocity is great. And just from the moment they're in the appear on the stage till the moment they leave, Max is like here's the belt, and it's like they grab it and just like Jared Fritz is like, okay, like calm down, just like it's mine kind of thing. Right?
Yeah.
I really liked it. Actually, Dodie had asked, and I missed it until just now. How hot is it inside the Coruscant Ballroom? Wasn't bad. It was 110 degrees when we got there, and it was insane. I went like, no, I can't survive in this heat. But rain cut it, and it was a lot better for the other days that we were there. It was okay. Style is Vaderish. Willie says, "Ding dong, Tyrus is gone." To get a T-shirt for that. Kenzie would be a great last girl in a horror movie. 100%, Lou.
On the flip side of that, though, she could play the opposite just as well.
Yeah, she could be one of the Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Max's mannerisms, Roswell says, are interesting in the ring as well.
Very.
So new champ, first new champ. We will see almost all new champs as this weekend progresses. Almost. 3-way match for the vacant National Heavyweight Championship match. I had to tell you, going into this match, I did not care who won. Because the National Championship for me has been beleaguered enough that I don't care about it at the moment. I thought if Thrillbilly won, then, he didn't win it on his own before. How's he going to win it now? And, Kratos and Odinson I like them both. They feel like TV title level guys to me. But so there you go. All three men bring out, they go hard on each other from the start. As you would expect. I think it was Lou said, like, what's the over-under on Asgardian uppercuts for this match? Like 30?
Yeah.
Very, very funny. He's doing that. Kratos comes back with that patented release suplex across the ring. Mason does the flying shoulder tackle. Everyone's getting their stuff in. But Odinson and Mason take turns beating Kratos down, which was, they didn't really act so much as a tag team here, which was what it looked like going into the thing. there was a moment when Kratos returned with they try to double suplex Kratos. He hits a double flapjack. He dumps him outside the ring. He targets Mason. Everyone's outside of the ring for a while, and as they move back in, Mason ends up recovering, giving Odinson one of those airplane spin slams, gets his 2 count, and where are we here? I have lost on the thread here. The tape is off, and he mounts him in the corner with punches, but Kratos gets a power bomb for 2 count. This is when our friend Pollo Del Mar gets in the ring to help her man. Kratos shoves her into Mason. Silas just looks at her and takes her right into the thrill ride. The romance, as Tommy Milagro says, is dead as Dillinger. Odinson comes back, clips Kratos with the national title, but Mason sends Odinson into the thrill ride, gets the 3 count, doesn't get the girl, gives her up in favor of getting the belt. They've broken up. Like I said on Twitter, nobody emotes better than Pollo Del Mar from the ringside, and Pollo, if you happen to be watching at some point, I mean, you took a hell of a thrill ride in that particular match, and it was a better match for a 3-way dance than I thought it would be. What did you think, Dave?
Overall, it was a good match, but I mean, if you followed the storyline, it was almost telegraphed that there'd be interference on one side or the other. Pollo would get involved, and Thrillbilly was going to win no matter. I was surprised by some of the offense, especially in Kratos went up and over, and for a man his size, he does outstanding moves, whether it's ground and pound or even aerial. And I'm just I'm glad to see that they've more or less decided to give the title to Rolly, although I don't like the way he ended up winning the title, because he really didn't beat a title holder for the title. He took a title that was basically held up. I'm looking forward to Odinson and Kratos back as a tag team, because I think they work better as a tag team than they do as opponents or singles wrestlers.
Right. I almost thought it would be I said to Jay, here's what's going to happen. Pollo's going to come out and she's going to support Kratos and Odinson, and they're going to turn on Thrillbilly and you know, she's going to manage that team. That didn't happen, but I kind of wonder if it might happen moving forward. I'd love to see Pollo, you know, managing the Immortals, I think they're called. What'd you think, Jer?
I for a 3-way dance, I enjoyed it. Like Dave said, the Pollo Thrillbilly split was telegraphed, but I still like the way that they ended it. I said in the Discord last night, I think, that I was thinking that I would love to see Pollo in her next step be the manager for the Immortals, and like an auntie entity,
right?
Tina Turner's character from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome,
Right.
that kind of character gimmick, and manage Kratos and Odinson. I'd be a perfect fit.
This is a question that's been asked for several different people in the last couple of days. What's his music? I haven't been able to find out.
I don't know.
I always figured he'd come out to like a like a Reverend Horton Heat kind of theme, right? Some psychobilly.
Right. It's a psychobilly freak out.
Yeah, it'd be great, man. But I do not know what it was. I did look earlier today, but there you go. Willie had said in the chat, Fixers ought to break up. Jay Bradley should be a singles wrestler. I said Jay Bradley a lot this weekend, like on his own, around going around the merch and watching from the back of the floor for day 2. He's obviously a very accessible guy. Fixers Rosville says need to go heel full on. As for the music, it certainly matches his energy. Oh man, he had a great promo for Jordan Clearwater. We're not going to get tonight too, but we could hear it in the ballroom, like, with a haircut like yours. If I had a haircut like yours, I'd get a circumcision. We were like, oh. It was good. We go, however, to the match that I was really looking forward to only because of social media, and that was Homicide versus Joe Alonzo.
Nelson and Joe.
Right. So if perchance you don't know, we got a lot of people in the chat room and watching right now. If you don't know, Joe Alonzo has been making probably the best promos. Yeah.
Gold.
On Twitter, on Instagram. He's like dressed up. He's playing all the parts where he's a teacher, and then he's also dressed up as Homicide. It's Homicide, yo. And trying to teach him how to enunciate words. And there was one after the match where Alonzo was in an ambulance. He had a neck break on. And he was like, and you kind of watch it going, oh no. And he's like, I hurt my back, as it turns out, from carrying this company. Like it was really, really good. Very, very funny. And he comes out to this in the fake Homicide Nelson pink T-shirt. He's referencing Homicide's real name. Homicide comes out wearing the red and black, white striped shorts version of Terry Funk. He's wearing the Terry Funk Forever T-shirt. He's got a Funk You towel, and basically immediately goes to work on Alonzo. I would have liked to have seen him go even harder, just as we kind of hoped he'd come across as super pissed off, but on Alonzo, and Alonzo holds his own. He nails Homicide with a cutter, gets a 2 count. Homicide gives him the Koji cutter pretty early on for a near fall. There's a full Nelson face buster from Alonzo. Alonzo got a chair. He swings and misses. Homicide drops him and props up the chair in the corner, and it comes into play against Homicide. He gets the brunt of the steel as he gets reversed and sent into it. Alonzo covered for a 2 count. Homicide came back, now lands the Koji cutter, followed by a Funk-style pile driver, and Alonzo's out. The ref wants to count out Alonzo, but Homicide has other plans. So the ref drops the arm. 1, 2, 3, and then Homicide grabs his hand. He goes, "Oh no, he's still up. He's still up, ref." And he shouts out to the crowd, "Cop killer!" And people are like, "Yeah, they want to see it." I'm like, that move scares the shit out of me as a wrestling fan. Like, it's a vertebraker, and one wrong move, and
it's done.
It's done, man. And I know he's an expert. He's done this a long time, but there's a reason I think that move ought to be just, retired. He sets him up. There's a reversal as Alonzo regains his senses. He rolls up Homicide for a lucky pin. After the match, Homicide ends up taking off the shirt and laying in the center of the ring in a memory of Terry Funk. But no surprise, I don't think, Jeremy, as Alonzo goes over the Homicide here, and as he puts him over.
Oh no, I was expecting it, but I love the way that they laid out the match and the way that it went. It was very well done. Joe Alonzo's on another level of heel.
Yeah.
That guy is constantly grinding on social media, putting his stuff over. And I even commented that it on the ambulance promo. I quote tweeted it or X'd it or whatever in the hell it's called now. And I was just like, this guy gets it.
Boy, does he ever. He's so gifted, not only in the ring, but just his social media game, his promos are on point. Dave, he's got some T-shirts now, Dave, I believe, where he's bent over carrying the NWA Globe logo on his back. What did you think of the match? What did you think of the promos? Can you hear me, Dave?
I'm going to have to drop out.
Okay, hope to see you back. Dave's got to drop out. He's experiencing some trouble. Jeremy's still there. He's just backstage. Anyway, it was fun. I kind of almost, I didn't need him to juice or anything, but I kind of really wanted to see Homicide go a little harder before falling to Joe. But it was pretty, yeah.
Yeah, it would have. But I think it would have took a little away from it as well, though.
Yeah, yeah, you can see that. Yeah. Hey, listen. We then get the much hated, if I may, Brothers of Funstruction, with Violent J versus Magnum Muscle. There is a screen grab for this. There you go. I think this came up after it was over. So they came out with Violent J. A lot of whoop whoop in the crowd.
Yeah.
Mims experienced trouble with the Clown's hijinks from the beginning. Draper, they have a lot of fun with Draper in the ring, as well as the Clowns are doing the regular stick. There's actually a thing later on where one of them was like, tag me, and was throwing like a fake hand on a long arm. The crowd laughed a fair bit. Looks like Dave's trying to get back in right now. Let me just see. Dave, text me if you don't. I don't know if you want me to add you to the stream or not yet. But the fans were pretty solidly behind the brothers. Mims and Draper finally turned the tide early on. They work over Ruffo a lot. There's a hot tag to Yabo. He's as Tommy Milagro writes, he's a Funstruction on Fuego. When Mims gains control and kicks him in the sternum, Yaddle blows up a balloon. It's pretty funny. He blows it up. He gets kicked. He blows it up. He gets kicked. And blows it into Mims' mouth. It was a silly spot where Mims was like, oh, the balloon hit me in the eye. They do look ready at one point near the end that they're going to put the brothers away. and until Jay gets in the ring to distract the ref, and Yabo gets a crucifix bomb to Draper, who rolls out of the ring, leaves Mims alone, and the brothers deliver that backbreaker leg drop combo for the 3 count. There you go. Whoop whoop for everyone. And they win. Your thoughts on this, Jeremy? Did you take a pee break? Did you just go get a drink? His eyes are no comments.
I could have done without this match. The whole world could have done without this match. But I will say I was impressed by all the whoop whoops in the crowd. And with that, I am not a clown guy, and I'm definitely not an ICP guy. But if he's bringing eyeballs to the product, keep coming back every damn week, kid. Right. I'm happy to have you. You know, and I've said, and with the Brothers of Construction, I've said, clowns aside, great wrestlers. They are damn good talent. Mims and Draper. I want more for them. They're definitely capable of it. They have the chemistry. You know, so I'd like to see more done with them in the future. So I'm holding out for this season to see what goes on with them.
They are the new spectaculars now. Like it's not like you say, there's chemistry, but it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Dave, what did you think of the Brothers of Funstruction with Violent J taking on Magnum Muscle?
I hated to see Magnum Muscle be the quote unquote jobber team. While I enjoy the clowns, like Jeremy said, if they didn't have the gimmick, they're still good wrestlers. But it goes on to later tell a story. So we'll see where this story goes with La Rebellion and the Brothers of Funstruction, that they've all worked for Juggalo Wrestling one way or another. So I think what they're trying to do is get another group involved that may have some followers to actually put more eyes on the NWA.
Right. It's funny. Lou said they didn't want to pay to clean that carpet. I think that was actually night 2, right? With the silly string and the pie and all that stuff. Yeah, I did hear some stories that I'll let Jay tell about how that was reacted to. But somebody had said that big kid who was I don't know if they even showed it on TV or not, but I imagine not. They had to bring a guy out with a broom, and he swept the hell out of that ring. He was flicking stuff on everybody. We're like, you know. But that's a night 2 thing. It was okay. I mean, they were very engaging with the crowd, and so was Jay, and everybody seemed to be having a good time. They do suffer well, if you know what I mean. They do take a beating well when it's their time to take a beating. The brothers do, especially Yabo. So he's got that kind of Joker-esque, you know, I'm laughing while I'm getting beat sort of persona. Regardless, there was a brief interview that Kyle Davis had on the ramp with Tom Latimer, asking him about how he feels about getting attacked on Power. Predictably, how do you think he feels? He wasn't too happy with it. He's going to win. But we go to the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship match. I got a funny story for you guys on this one, but Kerry Morton versus Colby Carino. No sign of Ricky Morton with Kerry here,
Yeah.
and nor the Southern Six. There is a lot of amateur wrestling at the beginning of this between two pretty good young wrestlers. Honestly, Kerry Morton has come a long way. Colby Carino has come even further, I think. A lot of takedowns, very evenly matched, is what the story's giving us here. Colby does his Colby Crush, that standing somersault senton, gets a 2 count early. Morton ducks a tiger feint kick. Carino dives into Morton, sends him back into the ring for another near fall. Morton takes Carino to the outside again and drops him hard on the apron edge. In the ring again, he chops away, but Carino goes for a double DDT. A double DDT, a tornado DDT, but Morton crotches him on the top rope, clotheslines him off. He's in control. He gives a slingshot suplex, a la Tully Blanchard. The guy with the broom, Big Mike, great kid, who's Harley Race Academy guy. Thank you, Mike. Gives him a slingshot suplex like Tully. Gets a 2 count, hits the ropes for a corner splash, and Carino reverses into a Spanish fly for a cover. He gets a count of 2. The action goes outside again. Morton does a dive, and he ends up reversing a Canadian destroyer. Jamie Stanley is out there and gets hit as well. He ends up Carino hitting his own manager, who does survive and is there for the rest of the match. Back in the ring, Morton's tries to keep Carino down. He keeps popping up. There's a lot of action that goes back and forth throughout the middle and towards the end of the match. They do battle up on top. Carino attempts a running power bomb and reverses to a Hurricane Rana. There's a kiss it goodbye from Kerry, 2 count. Morton's frustrated, tries to put him away, and then Carino hits him with a Finley roll, rolls him up, gets the 3 count, almost seemingly a bit out of nowhere. Carino's obviously very elated. Stanley puts the belt on him. There was a part of this match that I was been dying to tell you guys on the screen here. There's we got some great shots of it where Kerry is outside the ring and he's just defeated on the stairs. And as he's getting to his feet, we were lucky enough for this night to have front row tickets, and my wife, who likes Kerry Morton, she's like, "You did great," and Morton just looks at my wife and goes, "So I've been saying to anyone in the Discord, because we didn't buy the pay-per-view because we were there. If you got a shot of this, please screen grab it. I gotta cut it out and put it on the fridge or something." She'd never been to a wrestling match before, and she gets it, but she was mildly put out. She was like, "What the fuck?" She's like, "I was telling you did a good job. Why does he hate me?" So it was wonderful. New champ, Jeremy, new champ in Colby Carino. Was it time? Was it time for this to go down?
Oh yeah. Kerry's carried the belt, traveled with it, taken it places, defended it, and has grown his character. He's not Ricky Morton's son anymore. He's a Southern Sixer now. Yeah. So we're seeing a maturation of him into a new character, and he's got to shed that junior title now. You know, he go after bigger things. What? I don't know, but
yeah. Maybe tag up with Taylor for that matter. Like if you could push Thrillbilly to the front now that he's national champion. Dave, this was a good match. What did you think? I did a ham sandwich jabroni job of explaining this match. This is from our friend Fuzz, John Ceramic. He made these and brought them to the show. Thanks, Fuzz. What did you think of this one, Dave?
It's time for a change. Whereas, I mean, Colby can play the face or the heel depending on who he's going against. And while Billy doesn't want to have heel and face, sometimes there's a call for it. And I mean, Morton used to always quote unquote, the name Morton is white meat babyface. And Kerry is going the opposite direction, healing it up. At the end of the match, he's over yelling at the referee, Scott, you need to do your job and not deal with all this fake stuff, and you need to pay attention. And it was reality wrestling that he was making you believe that it was real, that he was pissed off because he lost. Well, he won the match to win the title and he lost the match to lose the title. It's predetermined, but it's what you do in the ring and how you act towards your opponent. So he knows next time that I myself would like to see him and Taylor tag up, that it's time for Thrillbilly to be in the front of the gang, and the other guys build their way into getting a shot at the U.S. titles.
Yeah, that would be great. I think that's the way to go right now, and I don't think there's any loss for Kerry in putting him in a tag team. At the same time,
no.
If you look at them like the Freebirds, then Taylor's going to be your Roberts, right? But it would elevate him to get a strap on him. He's a talented guy, AT as well.
Oh, yeah.
So he might need Terry's help to kind of get to that level. All right, guys, we get Tim Storm versus Jack Stane next, in what seemed admittedly a little confusing. I was taking a lot of pictures at ringside. Storm came in. He looked great. His ring rust was limited, if anything at all. He had done a great promo the day or two before, where he had talked about his past and his dad and his brother and terrible things that had gone on in his life, but how he was the product of two people, not just Mama Storm, who I gather he had lost, but also a father that he was not very good to him. And so there is the Tim Storm we know and love that was raised by his mom, and there's Dark Tim Storm, and he's half and half, and he controls it, but he's bringing Dark Tim Storm against Jack Stane. And what he wants in return is not the Dane event. He wants Godzilla Jack Stane. He wants the guy he went to war with for a couple of years and over the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. And as this one gets started, I don't know if you guys could hear it on the pay-per-view or not, but as they get into it and they exchange a couple of shots, Dane goes, "You wanted Godzilla? You're going to get Godzilla." And then there is a clothesline from behind on Tim Storm. And Storm goes down, and Dane starts walking around, and I think it was Jared Fritz. It's down there. You could see him asking in front of us, "Are you okay?" We could see Tim going like this, like you might if you had a stinger or something. And he's lying on his back, and There was some stuff from Chris Silvio trying to get a chair in there, and Dane kind of going stop, and it was difficult for us to determine, was this part of it? Was this is fate? Is there like, is this, nobody threw up the X? I should put that out. The referee never threw up the X that something was wrong, and so, but Dane clearly knew and was, as it turns out, we think, telling Silvio, no, we're not proceeding with this. And then the EMTs kind of rushed out to the ring as, Tim, who had been lying there on his back, and rolled over onto his front, and they kind of got him out of the ring, and the match was stopped by referee stoppage. Now, the part that really made this kind of scary and made it, I really get the impression that something had happened here, was that you didn't have Jack Stain going, yeah, I'm the man. You had Jack Stain at ringside looking like he might have hurt somebody that he was working with here. And Silvio seemed to get it at that point as well. But you had Tyrus came out, Pat Kenny came out, Trevor Murdoch was there, and he ended up getting help to the back. And like I started saying, I was taking a lot of pictures up until the EMTs came, and my wife said, maybe you better stop. And I went, oh, yeah, of course, right? I wasn't in the know at this point. It was a little bit confusing for me at ringside. I didn't post any of those photos online. I don't think that's the right thing to do. But he did appear for night 2 in the commentator position, and he got cheered when he came out. But I know that he's not at the tapings, and that might be planned because of school starting. He is a teacher. Jeremy, do you know? Do you have any knowledge?
I know that there's in MMA, blows to the back of the head are no-goes.
Rabbit punches. Yeah.
Right. And you catch a person just right in the back of the head, you can sever the spinal cord right there at the base of the skull, going into the spinal column.
Right.
The fact that he was there for night 2 is good. I was stunned. I stopped what I was doing at work because everything just kind of went silent a little bit and focused on what was going on the screen, and I was just like, oh no. That was scary.
It was. X is the code, Mandy, for a real injury. You'll sometimes see when those things happen, the referee is almost always the one who does it. He'll throw his arms up towards the back, and he's telling the producers and everyone else there's been a real injury. We didn't see that here though, which maybe was part of the initial confusion. Dave, you were right there at floor level. What were your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it was as realistic as can be. It was real. I'm not sure if it's a worked shoot. I do know that Tim is a teacher, and it may have been something to get him out of the storyline. Moving ahead, he, like you said, he was there the next day for day 2 in the broadcast booth. But it's one of those scary things that the X sign was never thrown up, so I'm not sure. It had me scratching my head as to whether it was Brian or I mean, more power to them. I'm glad Tim is okay, but we'll see down the line where this goes if they choose to follow this storyline up.
Yeah, Mike says in the chat it looked didn't look real, looked fake. Like I say, I get that perception because I wasn't sure. But until we know otherwise, yeah, I mean, he was saying that it looked like Tim forgot something that was supposed to be done after a suplex, and he just laid there. That doesn't seem. I didn't get that impression. He just, I got the impression more like he was sitting there going, I'm having trouble with my mobility right now. I've got a stinger or something and I'm not doing well. And like sometimes, like Jax was looking down at him and you could tell there was going to be a period where he was going to give him time to try to recover. It reminded me, it was a different situation, but it reminded me from way back in the day when Owen Hart gave that pile driver to Steve Austin.
Yeah.
And obviously that was not good for Steve Austin, but it reminded me of it the way Owen was just walking around for a long period of time, trying to give Austin time to recover. And that's what I thought about at that moment. So if Tim was hurt, obviously it goes without saying, I guess, but we'll say it anyway. All the best to you, Tim Storm. I'm a huge fan ever since I came back to the NWA. You're one of the biggest baby faces on the planet, and always enjoyed watching him wrestle. I think he's 58, maybe 59 years old right now. Looks phenomenal. Like looks like really great, and not only for his age, but just out there. And there's the cat. So yeah, all the best, and I hope that everything is fine. As we go in, still lots of people watching. We got night 2 tomorrow, and that is Jay and DK and Jaden. And Jay has been at the tapings, so I'm sure that he'll have more information on on Tim Storm's condition, if any at all, how well he's doing. The fun kind of comes back up, however. It's the Burke Invitational Gauntlet, right? And it's for earn a spot for the World Women's Championship match of night 2. Back again, eh, buddy? There you go. The first entrant to come in, Kenzie Page. She's lost her television title. She's coming in for a shot at the Women's World. She is accompanied next by Taylor Rising. Paige plays it a little like she's still sore from her beatdown as they lock up. Ruthie J's in, Heather Monroe's in, then Samantha Starr. She eliminates Taylor Rising with the Starstruck DDT. The next entrant was Allison Kay. She got a nice pop from the crowd. MJ Jenkins. Monroe got eliminated by MJ Jenkins, who entered the gauntlet next. She got eliminated, and then MJ Jenkins came in and to the gauntlet, rolled up Star for the pin and eliminated her. Then CJ entered. She did some of the magic bit in the ring until Allison Kay sends her over the top rope and eliminates her about as quickly as she came in. Unfortunately, would have liked to have seen a lot more out of CJ. Christy James can wrestle. One of the surprise entrants next was La Brava Escobar, and Paige just eliminated her by throwing her over the top rope. This brought out Woad and her ample derriere.
Mass destruction.
That's right. She uses it as a weapon and lays out lots of the competition. Then Sierra's out. And then, much to our surprise, As Tommy Malagro writes it very well, you can almost hear the record scratch when the final entrance is Max the Impaler.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's a nice twist. Once Max was in there, she tossed Paige on Jenkins and pinned Jenkins with Paige on top of her. Then she did the same thing to Wode and then to Sierra. Kay put the non-binary Nightmare down with a clothesline, and all of the remaining women in the gauntlet dogpiled on top of Max to eliminate them. With Paige, Kay, and Ruthie J left in the ring at this point, AK ends up tossing Ruthie out of the ring to eliminate her. Paige comes back with a Hurricane Rana into a crossface. Kay reverses it into a pin, but has to release the submission. And as she does, Paige sends her over the top rope to become your NWA Burke Invitational winner and getting a shot at on night 2 at the World Women's Championship. Dave, I almost feel like there was at least one guy in the audience who might have seen this one coming. What did you think?
Well, as soon as Kenzie was announced, I'm like, well, there's your winner. That they're going to have her battle back up for the championship. But I think this gauntlet match, it highlighted some of the newer women. We had a couple outsiders that were there. Hopefully they'll be able to use some of them at taping and possibly get a new quote unquote enhancement tag team out of these women that can be used at the tapings to build up the champions. But overall, it was a decent match. But as soon as Kenzie was announced and brought out, I'm like, well, there's your winner. That Allison I knew was going to be at another wrestling event on Sunday, but I was glad that she was there. Plus her being the last one to be put out by Kenzie, only chance of winning in beating a former champion.
Yeah. I mean, it was like you said. Once you came out, you kind of knew what was gonna go down at that point. Enjoyable match, Jeremy. I liked it for what it was, and I thought it was nice to feature some of the young women we haven't seen in the past very much of, like Taylor Rising and Sierra. And great to see Heather Monroe back, and obviously Allison Kay, very popular. What did you think of the whole thing?
For what it was what it was. It wasn't anything spectacular, but it pushed the story forward. It set up Kenzie to win, which is what our brilliant mind Dave Scooby alluded to prior, so it was okay. I guess it wasn't anything spectacular or anything, but it did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. I'm going to go a little quicker, guys, because we're closing in on 2 hours right now. We got a few matches left to go. I don't want to skim through it too much, but Kenzie Page is your winner of that. Matt Cardona comes out for the Matt Cardona Open Challenge Invitational, or whatever it might be called. He goes, St. Louis, yay. St. Louis, yay. St. Louis sucks. Boo. It doesn't, by the way. It's a pretty great town. I enjoyed it. He gets the crowd riled up, as Matt Cardona does. He focuses on, they're lined up in the back, as young talents lined up back there, ready to step in the ring and get the Matt Cardona rub, and then Ricky Morton comes out. And Cardona's like, I was like, what is this? He wants him to lay down. Just lay down, and you won't get hurt. So Ricky lays down. Matt covers him and gets rolled up. He gets a 2 count with his crucifix pin. Morton plays the crafty, the veteran, but Cardona manages to come out with the the radio silence, I think is what he calls that leg lariat. He's going to take, what's left of Ricky Morton out to the garbage, but Kerry and Taylor come out to, make sure that doesn't happen. Kerry's really put out by him trying to injure his dad. Jeremy, this will set up a match for night 2 between Cardona and Kerry Morton, but what did you think?
This had to have been a bucket list thing, right? It not what I was expecting. But again, like I said, it had to have been a bucket list thing. But Ricky Morton's still wrestling. I've got an opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's do it. If I was in Matt Cardona's shoes, I would have. I'd do the same thing, even though I don't want to see Ricky Morton wrestling anymore. If I was in Matt Cardona's shoes, I had the opportunity to wrestle Ricky Morton. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to learn more in that ring in that 5 minutes or so than you will in 5 months.
It was just I didn't hear anyone, Dave, in the audience when Ricky Morton came through the crowd, came onto the stage. I didn't hear anyone in the crowd go, oh yeah, it's Ricky Morton, amazing. Except for the 2 women down the row from us who had the "I would absolutely die for Ricky Morton" T-shirts. And kudos to them for loving the guy. What did you think of the Matt Cardona Open Challenge, Dave?
Of Kerry and Alex coming in at the very end. I would have much rather seen him build someone else besides using Ricky, but in using Ricky, they're building Kerry up. So it's one of these things of it. Kerry's now out on his own, not a champion. He still has the Southern Six, but it's time for him to step up and move up the ladder in the people that he's been wrestling.
Yep.
So if we can get a rub from Cardona, even in else, it's in stores. So
I agree. I mean, Mike kind of points out the same thing. Of all the ways to get Morton on a pay-per-view, this was terrible. Remember, Cardona first said it's his open challenge, then changed it to NWA picks. This is all just set up for us to see Kerry and Matt Cardona. This will go nowhere. Nobody said, "Hey, I want to see that," and the crowd was dull. There was nothing to learn. It's the same effing thing Morton does before a pinfall. The 8 things that he does before a pinfall. Lou says, "I've never seen a slower run to the ring by a son to save a father in my life." I thought the same thing. They walked. It almost like they were like, "We'll stop for popcorn on the way."
It's the thought that counts, though, right?
I guess. Well, the next time you're getting beat up and you need one of your kids to come down the alley and save you, I hope he picks it up a little bit, Jared.
God, I hope one of my kids doesn't have to save me.
All right. We get La Rebellion in the NWA World Tag Team Championship match. The great La Rebellion, the best champions of the Lightning One era. Tag team champions, that is. They have Vampiro in their corner against Blunt Force Trauma. I can't roll my B's. That's the best I can do. Carnage and Damage with Aaron Stevens. It is a brawl from the get-go when La Rebellion is mauled. They do finally get regain control and nail stereo suicide tope suicidas on blunt force trauma. When they end up isolating Bestia in the corner. He does a really nice desperation enziguri to Carnage and then crawls to his corner for the tag to Mecha Wolf. He's on a tear. He dives into Damage, then to Carnage on the outside. They deliver the mark of the beast to Damage, but Stevens pulls the ref out. He climbs onto the ring with his loaded glove until Vampiro super kicks him out of his boots. Bestia is sent out of the ring. Carnage lands a spinning heel kick to Mecha Wolf. And Damage is in prime position to just leap on top for the cover, for the win. Your winners, your new NWA World Tag Team Champions, Blunt Force Trauma. Jeremy, your thoughts?
Wow.
Okay, moving along.
Yeah. It was time for La Rebellion to drop him, I feel. I was surprised it was to BFT, though.
Yep.
That shocked me.
Yeah, you're shell-shocked, Mike said.
Yeah. But, I mean, I shouldn't be, though, because the guys under the masks are heavyweights. You know, they're heavy hitters, you know, and more than capable. And then with the mastermind that is Aaron Stevens with them, they've been putting the work in.
Yeah. They have. You know, someone was saying recently, Jay and I were having this conversation, that, you know, Aaron's the Bobby Heenan of the NWA. And we're like, no, he's the Jimmy Hart of the NWA, man. Like, he is all the personality in this trio goes to him. And obviously that's the idea.
Yep.
You know, I sort of thought this might be the way it went down. I'm so very often wrong, but it was interesting to see. Mecha Wolf, I thought, really played it up at the end. He was leaning on the ropes, just like looking down at us like, I can't believe it. And I was shouting, best tag team in the Lightning One era. These, like, they were so dominant, so much fun, so good. And I really enjoyed it. How about you, Dave?
It's one of these things that Aaron Stevens, as a manager, will either help his team or cost his team. And the last couple times he's actually helped his team win. The guys under the mask deserve a win. Once they were put together, they were no longer themselves. They were able to play a character and go out there and have fun. Whereas before they weren't used to their best ability. That I think putting them with Stevens is a good thing. Stevens can act the fool. He can still be involved in the match, but not actually. I'm actually hoping, I like both of the wrestlers in Blunt Force Trauma. I'm hoping that they're allowed to be given a decent title run before someone else comes in and takes the titles from them.
Yeah, I mean, I think we figured at that point that we weren't going to be seeing Knox and Murdoch taking the titles, which they, you know, on night 2, which, you know, they're obviously going to be chasing it for a while, and that was the right way to do that. Mike agrees. BFT is the right choice. Stevens is the perfect team. Stevens is a greedy, slimy, scummy manager which will do everything to make his team win. Good dynamic. Yeah, Stevens is a combo of Jimmy Hart and Colonel Rob Parker, WCW. That's true. He is a super fun and charismatic dude. What the hell came next?
Markova and Camille.
Yeah, we're up to the main event. There was an official weigh-in. It was weird for us in the audience. Just, to his credit, EC3, who's wearing the mask, and people went, what? He was doing it all day. So we were there a couple hours in advance, like just watching the merch tables open up. He'd walk through wearing the mask. And people were like, what is he doing? Which is often the thing that you hear around EC3. But I thought in my head, final form, right? He's been talking about that the final form of EC3. This is how. So he comes out in that mask. He's weighed in 231 pounds. And I thought, really? I mean, all that muscle, he's a fairly tall guy. He's not 260. Anyway, that's probably because
I've got EC3 by 4 pounds.
Yeah, I'm 221 last time I checked. But it makes Tyrus maybe look a little bit more impressive at 325.
That's the one that they lied about.
Yeah, that's up there. Yeah, Mike says he's not that tall, but he's not that short either, though. Like he looks like he's a 6 foot or 6'1". I don't know. But they ask EC3. Mike says he's 6'2". But for his thoughts, and he just behind the mask goes, shh, nothing to say. They ask Tyrus his thoughts. Tyrus just holds up the belt, and then later says that he'll dedicate his win to Bray Wyatt, to Wyndham Rotunda. And at that point, I kind of...
Oh, hang on. He said Rotundo. He said Rotundo. I dedicate this to Wyndham Rotundo. Fucking mook.
Okay, all right, but I'm not a Tyrus defender. But Mike Rotundo did use the O for a really long period of time in different areas. He was Rotunda and Rotundo. So I don't know. Maybe he did it because he knows that I have no idea. But you're right. You are right. Enough said on that one, shall we say. This gives us to the end of night one, guys. To our main event. We got I apologize. I thought we had the 10 bells salute to Terry Funk and everyone, but I'm apparently being told that it happened here. Kyle Davis does the boxing style intros that they do at the main event. He says that Camille has held the Burke for 813 days. And introduces both parties. This is a hardcore match. Markova is entered with a Singapore cane. She clearly broke it before she got it to the ring. It looked really pretty kind of weak, but hey, what are you going to do? She enters with it. Camille follows suit, and then she ducks under the ring, pulls out a garbage can full of stuff. There's an EC dub chant. She gets her own cane. This leads to a lightsaber duel. Lou and I were looking at each other going, the crowd's
that's what that noise was.
And then they have this lightsaber battle for a bit. Then there's a roundhouse kick by Markova. She ends up getting a 2 count. The match spills outside. Camille throws her into the ring post and the guardrail. She chops her so hard across the chest that you could see the marks on Markova. she pulls her up onto the stage, and she canes her in the back. I watched the replay today. We couldn't hear it but she's a former collegiate softball player. That's what she went to school for. She goes batter up, and she just smokes her. She just smokes Markova with that cane a couple of times. Everyone we were like, oh, Kyle Davis was in front of me going, oh my God. Yeah, so I actually think it ricocheted back into her face at one point. But anyway, there is a suplex on that on the hardwood by Markova that follows. There's another 2 count. Here's Dodie here right now. Don't forget Natalia also channeling the power of Tifa. I don't know what that is. Explain that one to me. Camille and Markova battle back into the ring. Camille grabs herself a chair. She swings and misses. Then Camille just wings this chair into her face. She goes and grabs the garbage can, and she gets a keyboard from it, of which I am in the proud possession of several of the keys. Dave Scooby has a piece of the actual board himself. Hey, shout out to Hiban Huerta, the ringside photographer, who I said, hey, Hiban, can I just have a few of those? And he went, yeah, sure, here you go. I know Fuzz got a bunch as well, so it is cool to little thing to have. She smokes her with the in the head with the keyboard. She lays her out with a cookie sheet. Markova comes back with a knee to the face that ends up getting a 2 count. She grabs the cane. She bashes away at Camille. There's a missile drop kick from the top. I'm going to skip through a little bit. You get the idea. They go back and forth. At one point, Markova puts the garbage can over Camille, hits a missile drop kick into it. I was hoping for Camille to do a coast-to-coast with the garbage can like she has done before. Didn't get to see that, however. Camille shows that 3D Academy training that she's got by bringing out a table towards the end of this thing. And she tries to power bomb her on the outside through it. But Markova reverses with that jazz stinger of hers. She gets a 2 count. It was pretty close. And then Markova ends up on the outside of the ring apron. And Camille hits the far ropes. This is probably 15 to 20 minutes in anyway. It was a good long match. It felt that way to us there anyway. And she spears Markova off the ring apron, through the ropes. I got some great shots of Camille going straight at her through the ropes, smokes her with the spear through the table. And all of us screamed, holy shit. The ref's in position. There's a count right away. 1, 2, 3. The one time, the Brick House, still your NWA World Women's Champion. Match of the night, Dave Scooby. Was it your? I know it was your favorite. What did you think overall?
Definitely the match of the night. I mean, both of these ladies, if you saw from where they started to where they are now, they've both improved so much. And this hardcore match, it put a final nail on. I'm not sure what Camille is planning on doing, but I hope Markova is able to move on and hopefully challenge Kenzie down the line for the Burke. She's put in the work, and she would make a formidable opponent for Kenzie. But we'll see where that goes. But overall, these women gave it their all, and this was my match of the night.
Mine too, and like you said, they gave it their all. When is a Camille match not the best match of the night? Well, maybe not at night 2, but it was certainly one of the top 3 matches then. But she had like her matches against Max, against Taya. Who else am I forgetting? All the way back to, I mean, she's grown so much, all the way back to, Thunder Rosa, like a couple of years ago or more. She's always headlining these pay-per-views with the best matches. Jeremy, your thoughts?
Um, as old JR would say, this is a barn burner.
Right.
While the Kinsey Max was my favorite, this was the match of the weekend for me, honestly. Camille always shines. Markova has continued to impress and improve, and it's only a matter of time before she holds the title, I feel. I would like to see these two pair up in a tag team.
Yeah.
Go after the women's titles.
Yeah, Dave and I were talking about that before the show. What a way to spice up the women's division, just Markova and Camille.
I think it was asked in the Discord that this makes Kinsey their Triple Crown champion. She's held tag gold, the TV title. Now she's held women's title. She's a Triple Crowner now.
Huh. Ella Envy's a 3-time World Women's Tag Team Champion right now too, right?
Yeah. So it'll be interesting what transpires in the women's division moving forward now. Now that the one time isn't the one time, what happens now?
Yeah,
that intrigues me more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, we all seem to get the impression from what we're hearing that she's going to remain, and she'll be around for a while longer.
Yeah.
So we'll see. That was really the show. I mean, 8 out of 10 was what I gave it, being there at ringside. The excitement for me not being to a match in, an NWA match anyway in 20 years, literally 20 years. I really enjoyed being in the Coruscant Ballroom. I liked the energy of the crowd. I thought the NWA did a phenomenal job. Any overall ratings from you guys? Dave?
I thought overall it was, I agree with you, 8 out of 10. There were some parts that if you didn't know what was going to happen on night 2 were sort of question marks. So it's one of these things of been cut down a little, but everything helps tell a story for the overall pay-per-view. I thought the Camille match, it just did both of those women. It did them proud. It was, I'd say almost. Well, I would say it was the match of both nights. That I enjoyed that match. That there were other matches that were just as good. But the action with the anything goes, no DQ weapons match, throwback to her training with the Dudleys, the table, that just made it for me. It's something I don't want to see all the time, but that put an end to this. And like you guys were saying, and we were talking about earlier, hopefully if Camille isn't in the main picture for the Burke, have her and Markova team up and go after the tag titles. That they don't have to win them. They just have to have a good showing and show that they can work together to possibly win. And that just raises everybody that's involved.
Yeah, that's a super A+ tag team right there to look at. So here's hoping it happens. It was great overall. Night one I thought was a little better than night two, but again, before we jump real quick to do, I think Jeremy's doing one match for United Wrestling Network. Dave's going to do some fantasy booking in the last few minutes of the show around Max the Impaler and their world television title. But Jay, what I wanted to say was Jay, DK, and Jaden will be back here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern to do night two and go through that then. So let's move on right now real quick to do another episode of the much anticipated, the much lauded, the world famous Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
The following is a presentation of the United Wrestling Network.
It's time for Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
So, Jeremy, you've decided of your own accord, I got one match this week that I'm going to do.
One match.
Tell us why and tell us all about it.
The one match I chose this weekend was one hell of a match. Championship Wrestling from Hollywood is on hiatus while we get new episodes of Derby City Wrestling. And while Memphis has been firing on all cylinders and been doing great, nothing this past week caught with me to deem it a match of the week, unfortunately. Again, nothing against what they're doing or anything, just nothing clicked with me over there like that. The match that we got this week was Danny Limelight versus Moose from Derby City Wrestling for the title defense. Go watch it. I ain't telling you nothing about it.
Oh, come on. I'll put up the spoiler alert sign that Dave made. Was it that
Danny
good?
Danny retains, but it was a hell of a match. Both men threw it all out there. Moose looked like $1 million and made Danny look like $1 billion. Nobody came out weak in this at all. I don't think that this is the last time that we'll see Moose going after the title. At least I hope not.
Right.
But banger of a match, just phenomenal all the way around. If you're not watching, may your syrup not be maple.
Ooh. It's just dark somehow. We've heard some things behind the scenes about there might be something really big happening in the UWN soon.
Yeah.
And we also know that there is a beautiful UWN World Women's Championship belt for a tournament that is coming up soon. And if we know by experience the booking of Mr. Marquez, we know that they'll have some top talent in that particular tournament, and really look forward to seeing a UWN women's championship.
Big things are right around the corner. New television season's coming up. Big things are in store, guys.
Yeah, it's so funny because they never seem to go out weak, like from like a season to you'd think. Well, I mean, the NWA has a tendency to peter out and stumble for the last few weeks before pay-per-view ignites everything again. Never seems to happen in UWN. Just keeps going. And it's a great program. So they can see that Moose versus Danny Limelight on the Memphis
Wrestling YouTube page over on YouTube. You can catch Memphis Wrestling every Saturday. It's at 10 o'clock my time, which is Mountain Time. So, no, that's not right. It's at 11 o'clock my time. I don't know what time it comes on.
It's on Saturdays.
It's on Saturdays, and then you can catch Derby City on Sundays.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, my friend. Look forward to tracking that one down. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. But I look forward to that particular match. Let's go then. Let's wrap up the show back with the fantasy booker extraordinaire, the man who controls the book of the Alliance, who always thinking about this stuff, Dave Scooby, the fantasy booker, in a segment that we call I Respect You, Booker Man. Dave Scooby, talk to us about Max the Impaler and their television championship. How would you book this moving forward?
Well, first off, Max is something special, and Max holding the women's TV title, it's going to take someone with definite size or a final match, almost like the Camille match, where it's going to be either a hardcore match or a stipulation match or in a cage, something to that effect. So Max being defeated will be something special. Now, Max holding the women's title, I would give Max a few wins over some under talent to build up that under talent. Even in a loss, it's only a 6-minute and 5-second match. So they can go strong for up to 4 or 5 minutes and have a good back and forth, and then just they miss a move or something happens, and then Max is just able to decimate the opponent. Another thing I would do is have Max 5-count pin gimmick. Use that to make Max and the TV title something special. So it's not just I beat that person with a 3-count. No, it took a 5-count to beat them, and no one is going to win except the person that does win. So it's one of these things of, I'd give Max a run until possibly next year's Crockett Cup. If you can do one title defense a month and either have it on Power, that's a good thing. But lead up to a pay-per-view to build up that lucky 7. Now, down the line, if Markova doesn't end up teaming with Camille and go after the tag belts, she can either go after Kinsey or she can get back at Hard Times 3 last year. So it's almost like getting revenge. And either way, I mean, Markova can hang with just about anybody. She's hung with Camille, who has some definite size on her. Max's size is a different proportion, but I'm sure they could work something out that Max will hold the belt until they decide it's time for Max not to hold the belt. That it can be one of these things of like Tyrus. Tyrus held the TV belt. He won his 7, but he didn't go after the championship immediately.
Mm.
So when Max say, well, I'm keeping this belt, or Father Mitch would say, nobody is beating Max. We're just going to win, and it's not time yet for Max to go after the Burke. When it's time for Max to go after the Burke, we will do that. But until that time, Max is the forever TV champion.
I like that. Now, let me ask you a question. I don't know if you've thought of this down the road. Max is non-binary. Could you see a time in where Max cashes in and says, great, I'll take my shot at the 10 pounds of gold now, please? Or does having the Women's World Championship define them into only being able to go after women's titles? Maybe I'm thinking about it too hard, but I like that particular aspect. What do you think?
There's several different ways you could go. You could possibly have Max go and challenge for the 10 pounds of gold, depending on what happens with Tom Latimer and the men's TV title. It could be that Tom goes after the 10 pound gold and they decide to make one TV title, and it could be either male or female. It could be a non-binary title. It's just the TV title. Anyone can hold it. That it doesn't have to be storyline. It's Max is Max, and when Max isn't over in Japan wrestling, Max can do what they want here in the United States. But I would love to see Max take the women's TV title over to Japan and defend it there. That would literally make it a title defended over in Japan. And that just, to me, that moved the stature up of that title. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Max is tweeting right now that they are going to be over in Japan for the month of October. They were kind enough to retweet I put a bunch of photos for that particular belt change up on the Alliance Gold. I think Twitter, and Max retweeted a photo. Just a very lucky good shot I got where Kenzie was in the corner screaming and Max was screaming in her face. And then beside it, Max had added the alien head from Aliens as, Ripley is looking the other way. Oh, look, it was pretty great. I don't know if I would want to see an intergender television title, but I certainly am. I love Max, and I love how Max can I like the possibilities, which I guess is what fantasy booking is all about, of what it could mean if there's a lucky 7 here. And I have no problem with Max cashing in her title for, the 10 pounds of gold for a shot at that. I think that would be fun. Okay, thank you, Dave. And I'm sorry. I'll talk to you after it. I'm sorry about the connection. I brought down these pods to give you for your home that boosts your signal, and I never gave them to you because I'm an idiot. So I'll get your address and then I'll send them over to you this week. So is that it? That's it, right? Wow, 2.5 hours or more. The only 90-minute podcast, it takes 2.5 hours to do. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being here tonight. We really appreciate it. It's been a large number of you guys watching, as we can see. I especially want to thank, if I just can for a second, Jason Taylor, J-Cal, for bringing the Alliance together. And he buys the tickets. We pay him, but he gets the tickets. He advises on hotels. He says, hey, he reaches out to the Alliance. What's a really great place to eat barbecue in St. Louis? He has those meetups. He brings us T-shirts or or merchandise, and he's so accommodating, and what a great friend. And I'm so glad for all the people that I've met, not only these two gentlemen right here, but there's the guys in St. Louis, Fuzzy and Lou and Retro, who made out like Sam Retro made out like a bandit over there. He got like 7 T-shirts. I was like,
he upholstered his couch with all those shirts.
Yeah. Retro's amazing. So and I met a whole bunch of people, and it was great. So I really look forward to the next time that we all meet up. You guys here as well. I'm hoping that we see Media Mike and at one of these things. Maybe Willie Bone can come down and and get in there with us. I'd love to meet all you guys in person. So that being said, as I roll out the video clips, thanks for sticking with us. And until next time, we'll see you at the matches, and bring me the head of Brock Sampson.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.